Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Friends of the Squared Circle, where I'm your host, Crander Hugh, aka my real name. Now, before we jump into the interview here, we got to give a shout out to our sponsor, Darren Corbin. You can follow Darren Corbin on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. Another great way to support Darren is going to patreon.com/Darren Corbin, where tiers start at just $1. Another sponsor here at Friends of the Squared Circle is Superior Creations, where you can get all of your custom tumbler needs. As you can see, we got a Darren Corbin and an Eric Cannon custom tumbler there, as well as Joey and Sierra, who just received their custom tumblers. You can get yours made at facebook.com/Superior Creations MN for all your custom tumbler needs. How we doing, Leroy?
We are doing good,
Perfect. Now, this is the second time we've had you on here. We've had you on Show Me the Collectibles, and now you are in for Friends of the Squared Circle. How does that make you feel?
I have been waiting for this for a while. We've been talking about it, and now we finally got it done. I'm glad of that.
Yeah, I've been waiting to get such a special guest on, being you. I know you've done the Show Me the Collectibles, but now you finally get to do the Friends of the Squared Circle. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
so we'll just dive into it. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I did spill it a little bit on our podcast that's just coming out that I was going to be on an upcoming episode. So hopefully
that's totally fine. You guys get the exclusive. So.
All right.
So we'll just dive into it. What are some of your earliest wrestling memories?
My earliest memory is sitting at home with my dad and everything, watching AWA way back then when Vern Gagne and all that started before the big hit with WWE with everywhere. That's what I watched. I watched a young Hulk Hogan, a young Ric Flair, the Road Warriors before they became LOD and all that. I mean, that's what I grew up watching. And then when that kind of phased out, then I was watching the WWE Saturday Night's Main Event and the different shows they had on Saturdays and stuff like that. I mean, that's where I grew up, and I didn't have cable, so when they went on all cable, I had to wait until after I graduated in the 90s to be able to watch good old WCW and WWE back in the Attitude Era and all that fun stuff, and I've been loving it I've been loving it since I was a kid and loving it even more now. And my kids, both of them, have become as much of a fan of it almost as I am, which is a lot of fun for me too.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And with that, I mean, you probably get a chance to tell them all the backstories, the history of it. I'm sure you're a lot like me when Hulk Hogan comes back for just a special event, and you're like, I used to watch him as a kid. I had his action figure. I loved him in the NWO. I mean, so that's got to be great to be passing on that, not only history, but that love of something that you and your son can bond over. Because, like you said, you and your father used to watch it, so that's got to be a special time. So.
Oh yeah, that's great. I know. I said I remember watching I watched The Undertaker when he first showed up, and then. Mm-hmm. With my son Evan, I got to watch The Undertaker do his final bow at Survivor Series. I was like, wow, it's kind of interesting, seeing that. And I told him, I said, you have to watch his entrances, and he's just like, oh my God, and he's just totally enthralled with the entrances. I mean, that's the best way to. One of the best things about their coming in is their entrances that they got. They're just, I don't know, spectacular. Way better than back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. More theatrics, more lights. Pyros is kind of a thing of the past now. I can't even tell you the last time I saw a pyro. Now it's all those 3D animations that come over the screen for the viewers at home versus the people in the crowd. So, yeah, definitely a lot more interesting theatrics back in the day. So.
Oh yeah, and they said we were at a live show, and that pyro, we were close to it. Mm-hmm. Very loud and warm. Mm-hmm. And we were down there for that Monday Night Raw. What an experience, and I don't think Allison will be ever the same because she got within an arm length of seeing and touching Finn Balor, and she was so excited.
Yeah.
Zach was right next to her, so he could hold her up, but hey, she survived.
Well, that's good that she did not jump the barricade and try to kidnap Finn. So
I don't know if she'd try to kidnap him or just hug him or something, but yeah, she'd get thrown out and then, yeah, it'd be a whole mess. But that did not happen, thank God.
now Jesse wasn't getting too excited for any of the women's wrestlers, was he? Because I know he took a shot at me when I said that he was in love with Julia Hart. I think the comment was he was loving talking to her, but he took it as that I said he was in love with her. So I haven't corrected it, but now he can hear my side of the story. So,
Well, I think Asuka, yeah, he loves Asuka. And I think, I can't remember, I think she was there a little bit. So he got a little googly about that. And then when the lights went out and was red with the White Rabbit song being played, he went nuts there. And then we were nice enough he helped start a chant about against Dominic Mysterio, which was really good because it was on TV. It was fun.
Yeah. Those are always great. I know you'll hear in a previous podcast with one of our friends, Shelby. She was talking about how Riley Jackson had someone in a headlock, and she just yells, "You're doing great, sweetie!" And I was like, I am stealing that. So,
yes.
can you imagine like a full-grown man with facial hair yelling, "You're doing great, sweetie," to a male wrestler? It's going to go over.
Just have Jesse help you with that because he gladly would. If you heard him at that one show we had up at Shrine, he was standing on the one side yelling at everybody. Everybody could hear him, but it was so much fun.
Yeah, he was yelling at my best friend Joey Avalon. I take my best friends very serious. You probably heard me from the vendor table yelling at him to shut up. So.
Yeah. We try to keep him calm, so just in case Joey doesn't swing a shovel at him, because that.
Yeah. I mean, I would have just thrown some stickers or a hot dog or something, but as you said, Joey does have a shovel. So
yeah, that work, or Sierra would just take Jesse down, which I think she would be very capable of doing. And Jesse
Sierra
would be like, crap.
Evil Sierra, that's for sure. Yeah, she is scary, great in the ring, scary, great with her fans. She has that persona where she commands respect, but then as soon as you get to talk to her, she is such a sweetheart. Not to destroy her, as they say, gimmicks. I don't like using the wrestling words, but she's definitely a sweetheart, super cordial. She was really excited, as you saw in the ad. I gave her the tumbler, her and Joey. I gave her some stickers and stuff. So building that relationship, still hoping to get that interview. So.
Yeah, we would love to get either one of them on for 10, 15 minutes on the show. I mean, calling in would be awesome. But we got to try. That's all you get to do.
And the thing is with that, people, it's not because they're like snooty. It's not because they think they're too good for our small shows. They're literally booked every day. I think she said she had 100 and some plus matches, 10 different states, various promotions. She's carrying titles everywhere she goes. And Joey's just right up there with her with MAW titles. It's insane how busy those two are.
Oh yeah, she put up her stats on Twitter from 2022, and I was like, wow, all the stuff that she is doing. I think she does have 4 belts. I believe so. And as I said, the one she won up here, she's going to be her DPW belt. She has a defense on that, I think, later on this month. I think.
Okay.
Or next month.
Yeah, RCCW, I believe it is. Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
Going around pimping out that title. I mean, she's defending it everywhere she goes. The matches are spectacular. I know we're not just saying that to toot horns here, and she's all under 25, and she is just killing the women's division in this area and slowly branching out. I know some of their, 2023 goals were to wrestle in other states. So I really hope they get the opportunity to keep, that momentum, and then as we always say, and you guys always say, they're not going to be around forever. So get out there, see them wrestle, because one, if not both, are going to be signed by the end of this year, I hope, because they are fantastic at what they do.
I do hope so. I think both of them have been featured on, I think on Dark. I think AW Dark. I think they have a couple times. I think they've been on Rampage at least once. I think.
Yep.
So I mean,
I know Sierra was on there.
Yeah, she was on there a couple times. And Joey has been on. Yeah, I really hope so. I mean, those two, and then the next one that I really hope gets signed is JDX. He got a good. You got a good shout out from Impact champion they have there, and to tell them, hey, sign this guy because he's totally worth it. And all three of us here, at 13 Cars, we totally agree. It's like you need to sign Joey, Sierra, JDX, so many good ones, and a few more that we know that work for MEW, and a few other ones that we hope get signed too. I mean, I hate to not be able to see them, but I'd love to be able to watch them on TV and look at my kids and go, "You remember that guy? We watch him, yeah,
yep,"
and all that, because my kids would be like stoked.
Yeah, and like that shutout that you mentioned from Josh Alexander for JDX. I can't remember exactly who from Impact, but they shared Sierra's name as another one, and I feel like that's a perfect starting spot. I mean, I'm more of an indie stance. You're a WWE stance, and I know we have friends who are mostly AEW. We have ones that are mixed. That's what makes it great. We always talk about how this is, the reason behind the name Friends of the Squared Circle, because we all love wrestling in a different way, and we all come together for that same purpose, and that's the interesting thing, is that we all love wrestling.
Oh, yeah. I said I've been loving it for so long, and I think my first shows I went up here in Duluth were the Heavy on Wrestling shows.
Yep.
And that was a blast, and don't know if they're going to be coming back, but that's unfortunate because they had some good shows up. Yep. But hopefully we'll have more promotions. We had Below Zero, hoping those guys would be able to come back.
Yep.
DPW, their number 3 show is coming back, and
yep.
I know one other one. I'm not saying anything more because I just don't want to say anything because another company might be coming up this way too. So
Leroy's got secrets, everybody. We're talking off camera. The beautiful thing too. Oh, okay. The other beautiful thing is, the beautiful thing is, as I mentioned it on the podcast before, is how Heavy on Wrestling had the stars of the past, and that catered to my audience, your audience, and then DPW was bringing in new faces to the area because we all always got the same, so that was the nice little difference there. But you mentioned you went to some of those Heavy on Wrestling shows. I think that's where our paths first crossed. But with this beautiful thing of wrestling, we met when I came to do a podcast at your guys' house. And to speed it up, now look at us. We're on different podcasts. You're on my podcast. I'm on your podcast. We take parting shots, and it's I really enjoy our friendship, Leroy. I'm going to be, nice to you here. You guys, what you guys do over there kind of inspired me to do something. Obviously, my podcast is way different than your guys's, whereas you guys cover the results, the predictions. You talk about the weekly television, whereas I want to talk to you, the fan. So in this circumstance, Leroy, you are the star of this show. because you are a friend of the Squared Circle. So
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I said
yeah, now it's on camera, everybody. I'm being nice to Leroy.
well, you're my bearded brother. I love you to death,
That's
and
right. That's right.
it's been great. I've got to meet a lot of people through wrestling, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to a lot of people out. Is like, can't more people be like us wrestling fans? We're all
Yeah.
different, but we still love each other and we enjoy the show, and then we go from there. I mean, from working with Zach at Quick Trip, and then he said, "Hey, I like wrestling." I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to do a podcast." Yeah, I wanted to do. And then I go, "Hey, I got this equipment. Let's start it." And he was like, "Oh crap." And we went
Put your
to,
money where your mouth is, boy.
I know. And he was like, "Wow, I can't believe this." And now 3 years later,
Mm-hmm.
it's our third season right now. Our fourth season starts in April after the
Oh, okay.
NFL
Nice.
draft. It's
Nice.
kind of funny. That's when it started. So I always remember that. But
Mm-hmm.
Automatic, says, "Hey, this is season 3 and then you're going to season 4." So it does it for
Very
me.
nice.
So, but yeah, I think the first show that we were at, and you were there too, was No Love Lost 2. I think you were there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I was pretty much
Yeah,
a
that's where
staple at
we
every wrestling event. You couldn't look. I mean, here I sound like an ass, but you couldn't look at first row and not see me waving 5 or 6 signs all match. And 2 or 3 of them are getting ripped up because I'm kind of a jerk, and like the attention on me, just like this podcast, like it's all about me. I'm a Russian doll. I'm full of myself. But um, yeah, I was a staple at Heavy on Wrestling for sure. Front row, talking bad shit to Ken Anderson. Um,
we all
Basically
did for that.
start the little
Yeah,
Nate hate section, and then not that I'm trying to tear you down here. I was always the guy with the sign, and then after a while, everyone else was bringing the signs, and I know you guys brought the sign that you had just recently got divorced, right? You want to tell us that story with the Godfather?
yeah. I was with the Godfather, and I was like, I should write a sign for him, and I wrote, "Looking for a ticket on the Ho train. I just got divorced." And I had it, and I showed it to him, and he goes, "You're kidding me." I'm like, "Nope. I got divorced, 3 weeks ago officially." And he goes, "Can I sign that?" So he signed it. So I have to get a frame big enough for it. I'm going to frame it when I actually can get a house and make a whole studio for everything that, and frame that up. And then me and Zach got pictures with the Godfather, which started, that was the first member of the Nation of Domination that I actually got a picture with. That was the start.
Okay.
And then I was
Were
able
you able
to get,
to,
and yeah.
were you able to meet more of them? You'll have to remind me, or our fans at home.
Yes. Next one was Ron Simmons, Farouk. I met him down at a MAW Grand Slam. I think it was 2. Our first,
Oh, okay.
our first show with MAW, where we got some of our first interview, where we got. I was a little painful with Darren on that show.
Okay.
And then, and then let's see here. That's 2. I did meet Mark Henry at another MAW show, and also on that same show with Farouk, or Ron Simmons, D'Lo Brown was also there. So I got a picture with him in one shot, and then we got our lovely D'Lo interview that we did at the end of the show. That's on our
Very nice.
YouTube. So yeah, I have successfully met 4. I don't know if I'm ever going to meet The Rock, but that would be the ultimate if I could meet him and meet, the 4. But I've met the 4 founding members, the original members of the Nation of Domination, which was pretty sweet. And that show, when we met Godfather, we had a lovely sign that my oldest daughter designed for us that said, "Darren Corbin is a crybaby." He wanted to throw us out. He was so upset. He ripped it up, rubbed it on his backside, and threw it in the audience. And people took part of the sign home. So I was very proud that, hey, they loved my sign, maybe because it touched Darren and everything. But after that, we've become quite good friends with Darren. which is
Well, I think the
kind of
other two
fun.
became friends with him. You just piss him off. I think that's how that works.
Well, I just asked a question that irritated him, and then he decided to tell me, "What was that bet you had at work?" And then boom, So my coworker still wanted me to take a body slam, but I said, "No, I'm not going to take a body slam because you would pay for my hospital bill because I wouldn't be able to work for a while because that would hurt." Oof.
We'll definitely have to show this to Darren, and then we'll have to get the Scoop 411 or whatever kids are calling it nowadays. If you're in the friend circle or if you're in the enemy circle, because Darren ain't gonna, beat around the bush. He's gonna let you know. So.
I think we're in the frenemy category. He
Oh, okay,
gives autographs for
okay.
my kids. He gives
There you
autographs
go.
for my kids, and he goes, "Sorry about hitting your dad in the nuts." So I'm like, yes. Both my kids have one, and I told my better half, I said, if we get to a show and you get to meet Darren, he will apologize to you for hitting me in the nuts, and he'd be like, "I hope everything's okay," and she would just probably laugh and blush and say, "Yeah, everything is fine."
That's great. I know I got a picture with him and my significant other. Speaking of that, Randy, take a shot. Let's mention Randy on this podcast. We love
Oh,
talking about
yeah.
Randy. No, we don't. Randy highest views. Hopefully, we can break that one day to get rid of his ugly face. But he's got his arm around Amy. Randy, take a shot. He's flipping me off, and I'm standing over there just looking like, what? So that's one of my favorite wrestling photos. Not only because Amy, Randy, take a shot. We're up 3 strong here. It's just because that was our first wrestling show, Amy and I's. That's another shot, Randy. That's 4. But yeah, that picture holds some nostalgia slash not nostalgia, excuse me, sentimental value for that. So Darren's a great guy. So
Oh, he is. Yeah. And you know what? My better half, you know what her first show was? That Monday Night Raw show that we were on.
oh wow,
Yeah.
took her to the big show right
I,
away, huh? Okay.
I paid a little bit of money for them, but it was so worth it. And then she's like, I said, "Are you having fun?" She's like, "Oh my God, you got me hooked." So
That's
I was
great.
like, oh, now if she could ever meet John Cena, yeah, I'd have to pick her up. She'd probably be a puddle after that happened, but oh well.
All right, so we'll segue back into your youth, back in the 90s or 80s. I know they make fun of you for being old on your show. We won't do that here. Who were some of those first wrestlers that really captivated you and got you excited in the AAWA or the WWF days?
Uh, Ric Flair, Hogan, I think Ricky Steamboat, the Road Warriors when they were the Road
Okay,
Warriors, all of them. I mean, that's what I saw a little bit of Kurt Henning's father.
okay, Larry. Okay,
Larry the Axe Henning before that, and some of I think part of the Four Horsemen, not all of them, were up here in Minnesota. So I got to see all of them before the Four Horsemen phase and momentum started going in the late. I think it was the late '80s. I can't remember exactly when that one started going, but yeah, I mean that's who I followed and who I love. And Jesse gives me crap about hating Terry Bollea. I'm like, yes, you can hate him, but as a wrestler, he was one of my favorites growing up. And then Macho Man Randy Savage, and Darren would totally agree with me there. One of his favorites, and he was one of my favorites too. Andre the Giant, of course, the big lovable, the guy that everybody loves. He was a bad guy later on, but we have a friend of the family that was a female wrestler, and she met Andre, and the one thing that she said about him is his heart was bigger than he was. He was that sweet of a guy that he would
okay,
do anything for you. So, which
gotcha.
is great to hear. But yeah,
Okay.
it was fun watching that. Growing up with that. And in the '80s, it was fun. The characters and stuff, the cartoons they watch, and then back in WCW when the whole NWO started, that kind of shocked my world when Hulk Hogan turned into a bad guy. But oh well.
Now, were
I
you a
learned to
fan of
adapt.
him as Hollywood Hogan then?
I wasn't at first. I wasn't. I was like, I don't know about this, but then you say it grew on me. I was like,
Okay.
oh, this is pretty good, and I was so used to him, saying your prayers, doing your vitamins, and all that stuff. And now he's like, screw you, kids. I don't care if you eat your vitamins, whatever. You guys suck. So it was kind of a transition as like my childhood heroes becoming an asshole, but. Oh well, then I grew up. Then I just said, "Oh, this is kind of neat." That's what I think everybody started doing. They were like shocked, and then they started turning into, "Well, this is cool. This is a cool thing to watch. This is a cool thing to do," with Nash and Scott Hall. God rest his soul, and all that. It was great. I mean, I watched the Monday Night Wars. Watch as I can pick on Jesse. Jesse's one of his other favorite wrestlers, Goldberg.
Oh, jeez.
he
He makes fun of you
has
for liking Hogan, and his favorite wrestler was Goldberg. Whew.
no.
Jesse, that's a cheap shot. I'm taking him.
No, I'm being sarcastic when I say that he really loved Goldberg.
Oh, okay.
If you listen to the show, how much he talks about, he doesn't call him Goldberg, he calls him Oldberg. And then
That's what I call him now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back to that statement you made. What's that?
Jesse was a big fan of like the Junkyard Dog when.
Oh, okay.
In the younger years.
Respect. I like Junkyard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, the thump and then the dancing. That man had some moves. Definitely would be over today as well. But back to that statement you made about Hulk Hogan. That's one thing that you and I have in common is that we're fans of the character, and then we try not to look at that political or stupidity side of it because it is the nostalgia. And now if they start coming out and saying things that are very monogamous and very, very, very inappropriate. Now, granted, Hogan did say something, but he's working his way back into getting whatever. But then I would ultimately like I loved Kane. Now I'm kind of like, shut up. You're ruining it. Personally, I'm not going to buy any Kane stuff because of things that are being said that just are kind of obscene. But yeah, that's not why I'm here to talk. I just wanted to bring up the part that we try to separate those characters and stuff. How did you get your content back then? Because now you mentioned you grew up watching the NWA. We always joke how kids have it easy today with streaming services, but how did you get your contact back in the day?
Over the air antenna. I mean, that's how I got 90% of mine. I did not get to watch WrestleMania when it happened, but I watched it later on. When I got older, I had access to the internet and streaming services. Then I actually got to watch some of the original and stuff like that. But no, that's how I got 90% of all my wrestling back in the day. It was how they did it before. There was local channels. They were broadcasting out of the Twin Cities for AWA. So I was just in Duluth. So it was a stone's throw away, 2-hour drive here in the Twin Cities. But that's how I got all my early day of wrestling. And then when I got older, moved into town and got cable, then I could watch everything.
Do you ever find yourself going back watching those like golden years for you more, or do you kind of just stick more to what's happening now, or where do you kind of pick up when you throw on the Peacock or the streaming services? What's your go-to?
I watch a lot of. I like watching a lot of the Table for Three and other stories behind stuff like that. I thought it was pretty sweet. I do like watching the old wrestling. If I watch any of the new stuff, it's because of the podcast, and I'm watching the pay-per-views that are going, or the premium events as they call them now. But yeah, I sat there and just zoned out watching for like 2 hours of the old classic going. Some of the stuff is kind of cheesy, but dang, I loved it back in the day when I was a kid, But I can see how the skill of the wrestlers back then, how it progressed, how they do it now, of how much of a difference it is, how much they learn from back then, and then watching some of the guys back then going, I can't believe they got away with doing that and such incredible things. Watching Ric Flair, his performance back in the day is incredible. Stuff that he could do, and his flopping on his face all the time. It's like, I don't know how he didn't break his nose. Oh my God. But,
do that little shimmy and then just boom, right down. Yep.
Boom. Yes.
Me, I find myself, I always go back to the WCW days. A little bit before the NWO came out, because that's kind of what I remember first. I like watching usually the matchups that you normally don't hear about, like the Sid Vicious versus Ric Flair. You got Vader versus Flair. You got Hogan and Vader. I keep going on a Vader tangent here, but like those marquee matchups that you don't really hear about, like Ron Simmons, and all the things he did before he became Farouk, as well as Triple H was down there. Nash started there. Yep, Stone Cold was there. The Stunning Blondes. That was actually a really cool tag team. And what they became. That's kind of what I remember the most. And again, I mentioned it before, probably here in other shows, but I prefer the indies because I like that up close action. That's where my fandom is at a 10, whereas WWE's, like a close second. AEW, I don't watch too much because I don't have access to it. And as you and I both know, it isn't too great anyways with most of it, but I mean, I don't really get to critique it or watch as much as you guys to really slam it. But then I do like watching just random stuff I see on YouTube as well that, has indie, darlings with, up and coming. Speaking of indie darling / Ring of Honor / WWE former tenant, Claudio, a.k.a. Cesaro, versus Darren Corbin, to give us another shout out to our boy, Darren Corbin. That match is just brutal to watch him just get his ass beat, sorry, Darren, for 20 minutes by Cesaro. And then I just wish, with him working AEW right now, that Darren and him could have another match to see, from 15 to some years ago to now, to see how that match would go. Because I feel like Darren would get that crowd so pissed off. It would be unbelievable. Like, if that was one thing I could wish for in the wrestling world, that would be one of them.
Yeah, I did watch that one. I thought that was an awesome match. And seeing number 2, oh, yes. Or, it'd be fun. I still would like him to, tag with his brother in WWE,
Oh, yeah, with Baron. Yep. Family photo.
That'd be kind of fun. Oh, yeah. They've got a family photo. He put the I've seen that with him. He shared that with us too. So
now Aaron wants to get in on it, and so.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, watching that, and then one of my first shows that my son went to, they had the Bushwhackers. I think it was Bushwhacker Luke. So he was sitting in the front row, and all of a sudden, here he comes around the ring, and Bushwhacker, he's doing his dance, and here's my son trailing along dancing with him.
That's great.
It's one of his first show. He had a blast because he got to do all that. Mm-hmm. He got to wrestle in a ring with Wrestler X. He was warming up, and he got to warm up with him. And my son is 1-0 in his professional wrestling debut. He won. Zach was the referee and did the 3 count. So I thought that was very nice. Good.
And Zach seems like a guy that would call it right down the middle. I feel like Jesse versus Triple. What's that?
Unless it involved me, he would look the other way.
Gotcha. And I know Jesse is 0-1 with Triple H and that whole incident, which you can catch on your guys' podcast. So we'll kind of speed up here a little bit because we're just about to the end of our episode here. What got you I know Zach had mentioned doing the podcast. When you guys started that whole process, how did you come up with the name? how did you guys come up with your concept? Give us kind of a brief overview of like how you guys got to where you are now. Now, granted, yes, Zach said he wants to do a podcast, but tell us some more about that.
Well, yeah, he just mentioned it to me, and I just said, all right. And then I got the equipment, and yeah, sorry, my light went off again. I have funky lights
No,
in my
that's just
kitchen.
that's the epiphany you're having here. You know.
There we go. But yeah, we had, he just threw together some bullet point questions for one of our first interviews with Darren. And he did that, and it was a blast, even though I get, hit in the nuts. But then we had that was an MAW show. And then not long after, we went to Fortramania 2. And we got an interview with JDX, and he had another thing of questions, and he was looking at the questions, and he goes, wait a minute, we had 13 questions when we did Darren,
Mm-hmm.
and now exactly we have 13 questions and we're all sitting there 13, and we're going 13 cards subject to change. It just flowed out us like sitting in the car waiting to go into the show, and we're like, what the heck? So it was very interesting, and it was like, yeah, I don't know. It showed up running crazy, and oh geez, now I'm getting messages like crazy. Yeah, I know. It's like I'm doing this, and I'm like,
yeah,
and somebody's ringing my doorbell. But yeah, that's how we started, and it just snowballed from there. I mean, we just started going with our first podcast was just me and Jesse, or me and Zach, and then let's see, I can't remember. We had a few people pop in. Willie, he's down in Texas now. And he came in for a little while to do some of the shows with us, and it was me and Zach. And then we got Jesse on. Jesse was just coming in as a guest, and then it just kind of snowballed into him being here every single week, and now he's just part of the show. And we've been doing it for I said 3.5 years. It'll be 4 years in April, and just last year we got a LLC license, so we are a legal small business registered in the state of Minnesota, even though we do it in Wisconsin.
nice.
But we still do that in Minnesota, and we have a lovely national sponsor that we've made a little bit of money from, and we're trying to get a few more paid sponsors to help progress it. So, if I buy a house, I can actually build a studio and have nice little toys to use. I get a good soundboard, but I want to get a better one I can record sound effects in there. And then the one I want also, so we can, if we take phone calls, I can Bluetooth my phone into it, and my phone would be another mic.
Oh,
so
very
nice. Quality for sound, anybody calling in would be just as good if they were sitting right with us. So, but yeah, we've had a lot of fun, and as they joked, they had to give us titles when we did our LLC. They named me president, and that went straight to my head.
Right.
So
you're the only one with a real beard.
Zach is the vice president, and Jesse's our secretary, treasurer.
Oh,
yeah. He takes it. He loves it. So we're happy with that. So
you gotta get him the classic mug, world's worst secretary. So
I think
cheap shot there, Jesse.
It's his birthday coming up, so I could get him something like that.
And then if they listen to that podcast, now he has a road wife that he has to bring with him everywhere. So
he does, and it's at home. I thought he was going to bring it here to the studio for the podcast. He goes, nope, she's at home. And well, you better bring it with us. I told him he has to bring it with when we go down. If we hit down that show down in Turtle Lake, we definitely has to bring it with us.
Yep. He
The
should have
Wrigley
to wear
Field.
it like the Hangover, the little baby satchel.
I'll have to make him something like that, and he can wear it.
We'll just have to get him like a chain that he can hang it from. So that when people ask him, "What's that?" I'll be like, "It's my road wife."
And he
Oh, he's gonna love
probably would
this
be
episode
more
the
than
best.
willing to do it. He'd do it.
That's too
I
funny.
wouldn't doubt it.
That's too funny. Well, before we get you out of here, I know you've been mentioning the podcast here. I'm going to throw up a little graphic here. You can tell everybody where to find you here just before we get you out of here.
And that's such a lovely graphic,
It is.
with our
Beautiful.
faces there. But yeah, definitely find us and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're on Podomatic, where we get place our podcast every single week. We're going to try to get it on Wednesdays, and every Monday. Patreon, only $1, and you get the podcast early. We don't have our lovely ad from our sponsor in it on that one, so it's commercial free. The one you get later in the week has our lovely sponsor in there. So if you want to just get it clean straight through, and our lovely theme music, and Jesse's working on a brand new theme music for us.
Very
Hopefully
nice.
we'll get some soon.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's something I'm thinking
So,
about getting here too, but I don't know how it works. So
as long as you have non-copyrighted music, it'll
Oh, yeah.
work.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
or tap Jesse and say, "Hey Jesse, you have a band. Think you could do something for me?" He might
Yeah.
do something for you. I don't know.
He's got all that spare time now. Is just spent with his road wife. So
Yeah,
you
he
think you
does,
know a
yes.
guy, and then he gets a road wife, and then he just too busy for everyone.
Yep.
If you all see me on future episodes with a black eye, it's because I got punched in the eye by Jesse. So, but well, these last few minutes here, Leroy, the floor is yours. Anything you want to throw out there? This should post before the Royal Rumble. Any predictions? Any things you want to say? The floor is yours. Take it away.
Oh, I'm not going to give any predictions out, but I'm going to look forward to seeing the Royal Rumble. We'll have the show up. It might be just Zach and Jesse in that one because I got stuff going on, but they hold the fort down really well. But yeah, this Saturday we'll have our predictions on what we think, who's going to show up, and everything like that. We're going to look forward to it. And then the next week we will break it down big time and get ready for our road to WrestleMania, where we will again do 3 shows for every Friday, Saturday, we'll do a Friday, Saturday, we'll do Saturday, Sunday, Monday shows to recap and review every single night of WrestleMania because it was so much fun, and we get tired from doing it, but we love our show. But that's what's coming up.
It's a season finale, baby. So.
Oh yeah, and hopefully we're going to figure out to do some streaming. Hopefully for our 4th season, I think we should try to do some streaming every once in a while on Sundays. So, which will be a lot of fun.
Perfect. And now I know you said you're going to be busy during the Royal Rumble. So if you need a first place beer to step in for you, Leroy, I'm there for you. I know you do all of the heavy lifting at 13 cards. That's why your back is sore. So if you do need me to fill in, we can talk off camera. As well as this year, I should be available. I don't have my friend Brian's wedding, where his wife Anna just puts it on the most important day of the wrestling year. I mean, I had to sit at the wedding and not watch WrestleMania. Like, I literally bitched and complained the whole day. It's WrestleMania day, and I'm wearing a monkey suit.
Yeah, I'm glad my better half would never do that to me. She would understand.
I mean, I'm going to be getting married here soon myself. We're going to talk about Amy and Randy and this stupid little belt. Randy, take a shot there. We want to make sure he's drunk by the end of this episode so he doesn't text me.
Well, me and my better half are so much looking forward to going to the wedding with you and Amy because,
Randy, take a shot.
It'll be her 2nd wedding of the year with my friends. So, and here's a go, I'll give him another shot. So you and Amy, it'll be so much fun to see you guys and enjoy the wedding. And Amy will look so much beautiful in her dress and everything. And
take a shot.
I know. And Randy, we love Amy, so take another shot.
That's right. You'll get the pleasure to meet Randy at the wedding. As I like to call him, Randy, not so macho, definitely a savage. C, Randy C. We give him a lot of shit on this podcast, rightfully so. We're gonna just make a T-shirt for the guy that says "Take a shot, Amy." I'm gonna have to throw some graphics together, and then I'll have to cut him in on the profits next because the shirt will probably be the top-selling shirt or some dumb shit like that, and I'm gonna just have to eat more crow on my show. So that rhymed. That's kind of good. But yeah. Well, Leroy, before we kick you out of here, I'm going to be some more to you here. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for always having me a guest on your show. You are always welcome to come back on. We'll definitely get a part 2, more of your, wrestling experiences. We'll get into what you guys do for MAW. We can talk about Paul Verk and all the nasty things he's done there. We can talk about how you've helped at other promotions as well. But yeah, as always, Leroy, I appreciate everything you guys have done for me, and thank you for being a friend of the Squared Circle.
Oh, and thank you for everything you've done and the friendship that you got that I gained. It's great. So yeah, definitely have to do this again, and then maybe you can snag Jesse and Zach for one of these too, because
they'll definitely have to come on together because you are the star of that podcast. I'm taking so many cheap shots, it's going to come back full circle. But yeah, they'll definitely have to come on together because it's going to take both of them to carry that weight of what you put up. So.
Yes, definitely.
Somebody's got to carry Jesse through that podcast. So.
Oh yeah.
And he better bring his damn road wife. If he doesn't bring his road wife, I'm just canceling it right from the beginning. So.
There we go. Yes.
All righty. So we'll kick you out to the lounge. You and I will chat off camera real quick, and then I have to feed Amy. Randy, I just want to take one more shot at you there. So take another shot for us there. But we'll talk off camera here in a second here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Crander Hugh, a.k.a. my real name. Let's give a huge shout-out to Darren Corbin again here at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. Another great way to support Darren Corbin is on patreon.com/Darren Corbin, where tiers just start out at $1. Also, don't forget to check out our other sponsors, Superior Creations on Facebook, where you can get all your custom tumbler needs there at facebook.com/Superior Creations MN. And as we talked about them, we got the boys at 13 Cards Subject to Change, who you just saw, Leroy, the star of that podcast. Give them a like and follow on all their social medias. They are doing great things over there. Check out their Patreon. Starts at $1. We do appreciate everything they do. And as always,